We're going to talk today about adding a dropper nymph to your nymph rig. I'm assuming that you already have a nymph tied on the end of your leader. You'll need a spool of extra tippet. I usually use one size smaller than the tippet at the end of my leader. That way, if you get snagged, hopefully you'll only lose the dropper and not both flies. Pull out about a foot to 18 inches of that tippet material and clip it off. Some people like a longer dropper, but I find that 12 to 18 inches to be sufficient. Now just grab the fly that's on the end of your leader in your left hand, if you're right-handed, and loop that tippet material around the bend of the hook. You're just going to tie an ordinary or an improved clinch knot around the bend of the hook. Notice that I'm using the fingers of my left hand to keep the tail of the woolly bugger out of the way as I tie the knot. If the fly was dry, you might want to wet the tail feathers first to help keep them out of the way of your knot. For the clinch knot, just 5 or 6 times around with the tag around the standing line and then back through the loop. Always lubricate your knots before you cinch them tight, just by sticking them in your mouth. Then cinch the knot tight and give it a test to make sure it won't break. And there you have some tippet for your dropper. Just trim the tag end of that knot. Now you need to choose a fly to use as your dropper. I usually use a smaller nymph than the one that's on the end of the leader. Hopefully your flies are better organized than mine. In this case, I'm just going to use a little zebra midge as the dropper off of that bigger woolly bugger. Now you're just going to tie in your dropper nymph on the end of that piece of tippet, just as you would tie it on the end of your leader. Again, using a clinch knot or an improved clinch knot. It can be a little hard to get the tippet through the eye of that little hook. Just 5 or 6 times around the standing part of the tippet, using the thumb and forefinger of your left hand to keep the loop pinched open. Then back through the loop from behind. Lubricate the knot in your mouth, get a little spit on it, then cinch that knot tight and test the knot. Just trim off the tag end of that knot. Normally I would pinch the barb, but I left my forceps at home. Now you're ready to fish.